Okay, readers, now that we've read Access to the Well, we're going to think about what the main idea of this passage is and the supporting details. Now, we're going to fill out a form together, but first I want to talk about the main idea. Some families are lucky, it says. They can turn on the tap for drinking water, they can fill a bathtub, they can wash a car. You guys know what a tap is, right? It's a faucet. So all of us are really lucky because all we have to do when we need water is just turn on the faucet and get a drink. Okay, so now let's write down what we think the main idea is of this passage, because part of what we're learning is that not all families are as lucky as we are. So come on over here and have a look at what we're going to be filling out. Here's the main idea of Access to the Well. And I think that the main idea is that people around the world have different amounts of water where they live. So that's our main idea. Now remember guys, the main idea, as we've talked about so many times, is the pizza. And all the supporting details are the toppings on the pizza. You can't have pepperoni and call it a pizza, but you can put pepperoni on a pizza and it makes it more interesting and delicious. All right, so our number one supporting detail, I'm going to read a little bit from our passage and we'll talk about how this becomes a supporting detail. It says here that some families are lucky, as we know, just to turn on the faucet, and it's easy to get their water. This is important because it proves that some families have easy access. So that's those of us here in Atlanta. So the first supporting detail is some families have easy access. Access, friends, do you know what that means? That means that we're able to get it. Our access is easy, so we're able to get it easily. If we had hard access or difficult access, that would mean that we could not get it easily. I'm going to add on to that. Easy access to water. Okay, now we're going to move on to our second supporting detail. Although there's water in some parts of the world, lots of water, sometimes families don't live near it. So some families have to walk a far distance to get their water. Some families have to walk a far distance to get water. The passage says that they can only get enough water for one day because they can't carry that much. So they may just barely have enough water to drink for the day or to wash for the day or to water their garden where they're growing their food. So one way these families are the same, our families and these families, is there is a lot of water near them, but some families don't have a car or they don't have a faucet in their house, so they have to walk a far distance. Now, this is where you are going to start filling in. We have one more supporting detail in the passage that I want you to write down. I'll give you a hint. Some parts of the world, lots of water, lots of indoor plumbing, which means faucets that you can use. Some parts of the world have lots of water, but they don't have a way to get to the water, so they have to walk. That's hard. The third supporting detail, it has to do with where you live and whether or not there's any water where you live. I'd like you to look for that answer in the last paragraph in Access to the Well. Go back to the link that I gave you where we read the whole story, and I want you to write me a supporting detail about other families and how they get water and whether they have a lot. When we're done, it's really important that you can explain how these details support the main idea. So you're going to look at number 1, supporting detail, number 2, number 3 that you're going to write, and tell me how these support the main idea. The main idea is people around the world have different amounts of water where they live. We'll start with number 1, just so you have an idea. Well, this says some families have easy access to water. That supports the main idea because it's telling about how one type of family have water. But this main idea talks about different types of families. So tell me how all these supporting details tell us more about the main idea. Ready to go? Next comes your discussion board. I'll have this here for you to look at. And you're going to give me a third supporting detail and explain how all these details support the main idea. All right, let's get writing.